Yo, what's up? It's your boy Currency 365. Hope you guys are doing well. Legends never die. They stay in our hearts. If you want to support us, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also you can come down here and hit the join button under the video or in our channel section. And you can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/currency365. And we also have Cash App and also PayPal for support if you want to sow some seeds. Peace out. God bless. Enjoy the video and keep the movement going. Legends. Bye.
When I just share these stories, this is just from my experience. Sometimes that's why a lot of times I give a disclaimer that the information contained herein is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. It's also can be for educational purposes and entertainment purposes, because YouTube is some people watch videos for entertainment as well, not just for the education, in case you're wondering. So that's why that's in the disclaimer. Please, as always, do your own homework. And it's encouraged that you seek a competent professional at your own leisure. Dorsey's Resource channel and all previous videos and videos in the future are not liable or responsible for anyone's misuse of the information. You are responsible, everyone, for their own commercial affairs, unless you hire a professional or conservator, but that's up to you. It is encouraged. Just putting it out there. These are my opinions. So you've indemnified Dorsey's Resource, all rights reserved. So never ever is any of the information that I share financial, securities advice, legal advice. It's encouraged. Always seek a professional. If you feel otherwise, then there's other channels, other places to look at. YouTube has a plethora of information. But if you do appreciate the information, the thumbs up, I greatly appreciate it. That lets me know, guys, and it lets the haters know how you guys feel. If you guys still want me to put out the information that I do, or let you all know, that's confirmation. When you guys like the video, thumbs up. It also helps me rank higher in the search results. But back to the story. So I had this dream recently. The little bit that I woke up from, it felt really encouraging, really promising. That I remember stacks of cash. It was a significant amount of currency. I remember I gave my mom, I was like, here, I just gave her threw her $200. And I was trying to figure out, but the dream is funny. I was trying to figure out, where did it come from? I was wondering if it came from something else I was part of some years ago. If it was related to the DTC, Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. I don't know, or was it related to something else, another separate transaction? So that's what I was trying to figure out. But it seemed like it was imminent. And when I woke up from this dream, it felt so real. You wake up from a dream sometimes, it's like your heart is racing. It's like you can feel it, like you were right there. Like you literally feel like, and my friend told me, my one friend can explain this stuff really well. Because he says, you're actually somewhere else when you dream or go to sleep at night. You actually leave your body or whatever. But it literally felt after I woke up. And before I woke up, the dream told me, it's like it knew to tell me that the funds, this didn't come from me doing a transaction with the government, particular government agency. It wasn't a check from this particular, it wasn't money coming from that. It was from something else. And I was like, where did all this cash come from? So I just wanted to share this, by the way, this information as particular encouragement for those out there who might have doubts whether or not this particular information is real. You may be wondering. Looks like we got a visitor in here. Okay. So I just wanted to give you guys confirmation, by the way, that when in doubt, it seems like that this is never going to happen. But based off the information that I've gone over, in the past, and I know many of you all have heard that video about the guy the testimony of the guy that went to the bank and shared what he was told, what he was informed about. That was very positive. I had my dream about HBAR, Hedera hash graph, not too long after that particular video dropped. And this was prior to my recent dream. And the video, I felt real good when I woke up from the dream I had about HBAR, that it went up to a large amount of money. And I was like, whoa, I was like, how could it go up that high? I mean, it was like, clearly, but it didn't, the dream didn't give me a price, but it's like, it just let me know I felt in my heart, whatever I was holding, it went up to like a large amount. And it would make sense because it seemed like as long as they've been suppressing it, because yeah, I would have thought compared to the last bull market we had, compared to 2021, compared to this year, it seemed like certain coins should have gone way higher than they were. But one of my sources also told me, by the way, in case you're wondering, it seemed like it's back in the hands. I heard the IMF, by the way, in case you're wondering, had been stalling the dinar. I remember some years ago, it would switch hands. At one time, it was the U.S. Treasury was stalling it. And they actually have some type of connection with the IMF. They each have, I guess, offices in Washington, D.C. as well. I had a friend of mine, when we were going down there, traveling to D.C. one time, it actually showed on this particular map that he had all these different offices. And I said, D.C. is like an international hub. It has all these different offices that I've heard that appear to be international. And I was like, where did these locate? They were right on this map. So there's some type of connection. One of my sources, I won't even try to explain it. But remember also, what makes the dinar legitimate. Remember, guys, years ago, Bush signed an executive order to allow United States citizens to purchase Iraqi dinar. If you remember, you can look it up. That executive order was 130033 or something like that. But look up the executive order. Former President Bush, the son, remember his father, Daddy Bush, was in office, but the son, the one that was in office before Obama, he signed, passed an executive order some years ago. Don't quote me exactly what year it was, that allowed this as legitimacy to it. Why would they, if the dinar was a scam or was totally completely bogus, why would he pass an executive order to allow United States citizens to purchase it? This is what one of my sources brought up. I also went over why would these particular top tier banks used to sell it, and I've got confirmation. One of my other friends I hadn't talked to in a long time, I got a chance to talk to like a few days ago. And I remember years ago, he told me a similar testimony. He had picked dinar up from Fifth Third Bank. Had another source told me he picked it up from Fifth Third Bank. One of my other private sources told me he used to go to Chase Bank and pick it up. And I know Vietnamese Dong, by the way, for what was shared with TNT Tony, who I've never met before. And based off that information, I saw at a Chase Bank 2 different locations, by the way, where I've always heard stories that the Vietnamese Dong and the dinar were joined at the hip like brother and sister. And he was saying you can go in there and order it. Now, I can't speak for now because I haven't really been keeping up with the calls like that, because I put this stuff on the back burner because I don't really do videos. But I'm just giving my opinion from another aspect, another angle. But I hear that this is tied into this whole big global currency reset. Not to be confused with the evil cabal reset that they want. But this is something else. And a debt jubilee, this is something was supposed to take place a long time ago. But of course, it appears the cabal has been holding this up, the evil ones. And I was informed that this particular cryptocurrency was being suppressed. Not only XRP, it was mentioned, and one of my sources told me there's a guy I guess he's connected His channel, he knows, I guess, he's on the inside real high up. I've heard, I don't know if you guys have heard of I think it's Black Swan YouTube channel. He told me, my source told me recently, said Black Swan admitted that he made a mistake and violated one of his non-disclosure agreements. Because I hear that the people allegedly at Ripple or different companies had to sign NDAs, and they can't release or talk about certain information. But there's you guys know, not from me, but there's been whistleblowers, there's been leakers throughout the years, and I guess this particular channel was admitting he made a mistake, and I guess leaked the information out that the IMF or whatever was one of the entities. So this proves, I said this to you guys a long time ago, so I have a theory dealing with something else, that they control the cryptocurrency market just like they control the stock market, and they can suppress prices. Look what happened to the short squeeze when that GameStop situation happened some years ago. Remember Robinhood? People had the app, they were forcing people to sell. And my friend told me that let him know at the time they didn't want people to become rich, a certain faction of the cabal or whatever. They want to keep people poor. These are very, very evil people. And then you saw what they did with the pandemic. They want population reduction. They want to create artificial scarcity. They want to create a one world government. I've known this for a very long time. From what I was informed years ago, that's why they started the European Union. They created the Asian Union, the African Union, and the American Union. And I remember Lou Dobbs, a former reporter for CNN some years ago, he was punished for bringing up NAFTA or whatever, how this was tied in, I guess, with the UN or treaty. The U.S. would have where they would set up a one world body politic where it would take over your local and state politicians. They would be ruled by the United Nations, World Economic Forum, where basically who those are really gets into the ruling class elite, which they're aligned with one another. The World Economic Forum or Davos group, that's the daylight version of the Bilderberg organization, which is tied in with the G20 summit and all that. That's where they summons top CEOs of corporations, heads of state, potentates, diplomatic, tech giants, people in agriculture, health industry, you name it. Remember Klaus Schwab bragged about having certain people under control of the World Economic Forum. He bragged about Justin Trudeau, who's the guy out of France. Can't think of the other prime minister offhand that he mentioned. He was a member, and they were behind this Paris Agreement. They also are using climate change as a cover, by the way, to push their agenda of carbon tax or carbon credits, because eventually their end game is really evil. Their diabolical, sinister agenda. They want to get rid of currency altogether and create something called carbon credits, which will charge you based off your carbon usage, your carbon footprint, they call it, which could be your carbon consumption, which could tie in based off, everything would be calculated based off the energy that you use, the air that you breathe. This is how they're going to figure out a slick way, like the movie Total Recall years ago. They're going to charge people or society, because at one time water bills used to be free. You can look up, talk to some of your grandparents or people that were around years ago. They'll tell you water was free. It's from the planet. See, the elites of cabal, the things that were meant, because the birds and bees and nature, they don't charge each other to use the trees and the leaves and the nature, what Mother Nature has available. But these cabal people, it's about control with them, especially these satanic Kabbalists, the really evil ones. They want population reduction. They want wars. They brag at their Bilderberg meetings. I've heard in the past, they talk about, we want big war, because war is death. You have war bonds. That's what I told you guys. Go watch the movie Money Masters, Monopoly Men, Ring of Power, Empire of the City, Monopoly Men, Money Masters. If you haven't, never checked out those documentaries, it would behoove you to. You can watch them for free on YouTube. If YouTube still has it, if you do have the funds or you have deep pockets or you're a high roller, don't hesitate to purchase those people's DVDs, because there's people, they risked their lives sharing this information years ago. Wasn't like today. There was people that laid their lives down. There was people, they were gang stalked. They were like Ted Gunderson, rest in peace, God rest his soul. He helped investigate child sex trafficking victims when the FBI years ago and Homeland Security wasn't even around. And him and another guy named Mark, they rescued a woman and helped investigate and found out it was leading to these satanic rings. They uncovered Michael Aquino with the Church of Set, by the way, who was connected to Anton LaVey with the Church of Satan. Also, there's a video, watch, if you're a Christian, if you're a born-again Christian or you're a believer, it would behoove you. I do investigative research, by the way, forensic research, really in depth. My mind works differently than the average person, but I look at things in a meticulous manner. But look at the video. It's a guy from South Africa. He's a former Satanist, and if you have the ability to download this video, I won't spoil it for you, but no spoiler alert. But if you get a chance, check out, type in former Satanist exposes, and he answered my questions when I watched the video, some questions that I had. So the Church of Satan was also created as a political organization to counter Christians. And I said, that makes sense. That answered one of my questions and some other questions I had from it some years ago. And one of the things he brought up, he talked about the children coming up missing. So I want to say, this is not no QAnon conspiracy theory or Pizzagate stuff, as certain members of the House of Representatives that happen to be liberal, progressive, will try to have you believe. They were trying to cover it up. As you remember, if you followed that years ago, before people started having their YouTube channels censored, deleted, David Seaman was a former writer of the Huffington Post. He helped uncover, through his investigative research, as well as others, by the way, that discovered certain people were not necessarily famous, but people they connected. They used some of the same data that FBI had discovered that they used to go after child traffickers and emblems. People saw that these particular parties, when they started to decrypt this encryption, this actually happened some years ago. They went on these people's Instagram pages and Twitter accounts. They were public. They weren't even set to private yet. But of course, when people started to get wind of this, and the Kabbalists themselves started to do damage control and cover, they started locking their accounts up. They started locking their profiles, their Twitter accounts, their Instagram accounts. And that's how allegedly I found out there's the wife of a particular music artist. I kept wondering why she was being attacked, because all these people, they got on the case like they're like internet detectives. Oh, they blew me away. I didn't know. I said, wow, people were doing the research. And I kept wondering, I said, why are they attacking Chrissy Teigen? I didn't know who she was. I was like, why are they attacking her? And before a lot of these people started locking their accounts up or, setting it to private, but they had already, some of them had screenshot and took capture, and they compared notes and they did videos, and they connected the dots. And remember, WikiLeaks, they just released Julian Assange, God bless his soul, and his leaker who was killed, that worked as an IT professional in information technology for the Democratic National Convention, the DNC, some years ago. Seth Rich, remember, he was after he was murdered, Julian Assange mentioned, he came on TV. I forgot how he said it, but it's believed to be what he described. One of his leakers he got wind of that was murdered, was connected, I guess, some of the information, this deep, real heavy stuff was coming out. That's how I found out about stuff about Justice Antonin Scalia, the Supreme Court justice that was murdered. Remember, Obama had these two big cases that had to be ruled on, the healthcare thing, the gay marriage, and Justice Antonin Scalia wasn't playing ball with them, and he met with them, and there was these emails they found with these coded names from Hillary Clinton and Obama. They were using code names, and John Podesta, and then John Podesta, I guess, was talking about doing wet work, and I guess wet work, and I've never been in the military, but I guess that's a code term for when they murk somebody or take somebody out. They use that to describe wet work or a plot, how they murdered somebody. It's believed to be they murdered Justice Antonin Scalia. See, I just gave you context to understand so it doesn't sound conspiratorial, what I'm mentioning. That's the point reference. Remember, you also had Anthony Weiner. You don't hear too much from his laptop. Remember, they discovered after NYPD detectives discovered, remember the Wienergate thing? Remember before Leno was taken off the air, he used to make jokes and stuff. He was caught. Don't remember his political position. You have to look him up. You can find it. Pretty sure on Wikipedia. I don't know if he was a member of House of Representatives or what. I don't remember what position he served, but remember he was caught sending images to a minor. Considered illegal texting, and one thing led to another. And the NYPD police got a hold of his laptop, and they turned the information over to the FBI. But, somebody saved the information because they didn't follow through. The Justice Department didn't follow through the investigation. And remember, Obama's attorney general at the time, Loretta Lynch, threatened that if the New York NYPD police officers were threatening to release a press conference if this information wasn't released. And Loretta Lynch turned around and blackmailed them and told them that if you release the information, then we're going to charge NYPD police officers in the Eric Gardner situation. So they used that as blackmail. And I heard a lot of those police officers detectives committed suicide, but they were horrified at what they saw. And the information had been put out on the deep web, or somebody was smart enough to put it out on the dark web. So it would get in certain hands, and they were horrified by what they saw. And there was allegedly rumors, and this is just alleged. This hasn't been proven, that allegedly Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin, her advisor, was seen on video footage scanning a little girl's face. By the way, allegedly. I remember Tank, who did the Truth Call some years ago, talked about this. I don't know if Tank is still around or still does conference calls, but YouTube, which is controlled by the evil cabal, the Kabbalists, the Satanists, that's why they shut down my other channel. So the reason I'm going more in depth on here, I'm not afraid. Screw them, and they're scared. More people are waking up. Remember, when you wake people up, it scares them. It frightens the new order. So the best thing you can do is vote for Trump and wake people up to the new order. They're frightened, telling you they're terrified at the fact they're trying to convince you. Me and a friend of mine were discussing this today about the numbers of Black and Hispanic people that support Trump. They want you to think as otherwise. And to prove this, I've seen, well, I won't go into that because I don't want to give any ideas to this particular platform, but I've seen the evidence, by the way, because you can say through certain channels out there, I've discovered, and I read the comments, and I'm like, was surprised. There's a lot of Black people who rock with Trump hard, and it was women who were commenting in the comment section and said they were voting. One sister saying she's voting for Trump again. Now, of course, people use anonymity because in some instances they need to, because you have cancel culture, and because the left, the deep state, is so criminally embedded in many different elements of our government and corporations and stuff. They try to blackmail and punish people if you don't go along to get along, or go along with the narrative or the agenda. It shows you how evil they are. They are the actual dictators, the authoritarians. Everything they accuse Trump of, this is not coming from the Republican Party. Those fucking Democrats doing that. Look at this is censorship they're doing. It's funny how the Supreme Court, not too long ago, freedom of speech case, because it's wondering if TikTok is going to stay around. But this ties in with this freedom of speech stuff. You got to ask the question, why did a lower court found the Biden administration, and this was a federal court, like this, it was taken to the Supreme Court. But I hear it's one other case. I don't know if they have to rule on, but I know some people were hurt because it didn't go in their direction. But a lower court actually found the Biden administration had colluded with big tech companies and censoring conservatives and people with social media, which is highly illegal. That part is criminal. It violates certain election laws or other laws. Don't quote me exactly, but there's people who that's their expertise. But I've had it gone over. I've listened to other judges, and they bring on panels of lawyers from Fox and others that go over a critique. These are people that actually have credentials that have law licenses and going into the depth what you can, what you can't do when running for office, and what is pay for play, how Democrats are laundering money. So that's a whole nother scandal that's being covered up that even Fannie Willis is connected to, by the way, because they want to make Trump out to be like he's the bad guy. When I pointed out, when you find out the real media, the mainstream media reported on the real information, it will blow a lot of people away. Trust me.